Yo, what's up everybody? So basically I did record, or not record, but I like streamed me going over the patch notes, but that was a bit too long and took like an hour and 20 minutes, and I was just kind of reading everything. So here's my attempt to make it a bit more condensed. And yeah, I have like 5 or 6 like key takeaways. Each one's kind of like might not be that quick to go over, but that's what I've broken it down to. So the first one's UI changes, which I think are really cool. I'll just mute this for now, but like you can see the new UI here. It's really customizable. This is just the default, right? But like, it's a little more like, I don't know if box is the right word, but yeah, I think it's really cool. One of my favorite things with the UI is so I'm kind of skipping through to get to the. We'll talk about Anubis at some point. So this is the store. The store is fine. It'll take a little bit of adjusting to get used to. You can't actually click on these to get your like relic and shard. You have to click on this here. Um, but yeah, I don't really have any complaints about most of this stuff. But what I think is really cool is what they show next, um, which is this, the new scoreboard and death recap and stats. It's all on one page, so now that like you it doesn't like go over top of each other, you know, when you used when you brought up like the god abilities, then you're like T screen, like they'd all layer on top of each other and be annoying. But now when you press a new one, it just goes to the separate tab, which I think is really nice. And then the death recap's like way more advanced. It shows you you can like scroll if there's more damage, so you always know exactly what you took. And yeah, this is like my favorite thing about the UI by far. I like it a lot. And the next thing is like the adjustable part. You can move things that you couldn't before. Like you can move your abilities up higher if you want. You'll see some people have more like UIs related to like what you'd see in like World of Warcraft type of thing. Um, so yeah, I think that's really cool. Okay, so that's pretty much the UI. I think I encourage like everybody to go in and like mess with like this type of thing, look around and get a feel for it. But yeah, that's the UI. Okay. So next I'm doing map stuff. I'm just using this to look at the map uh in the top right, which is kind of small, but it's kind of what we got to work with, you know. But we'll get to that stuff in a second. But basically for the map, I'm including this in it, but there's some shutdown changes to make like shutdowns a little better. Also in the UI, going back to the scoreboard on the right side of the scoreboard. All right, sorry, I'll go back. It's a little annoying, but so like on the right side, when you have the scoreboard up, when you press tab, it shows bounties also, which is really cool. It didn't show that before. It shows kill streaks here, which I like a lot also. But yes, so they talk about bounties, or I'm talking about. Bounties are changed a little, like you don't get XP if you kill somebody 4 levels below you, and bounty goals get shared with all of your allies even if they're not in range. So that was a little changed, but yeah. Okay, so the big map changes on the like this goes hand in hand with the Harpies. This is like the original map for season 10, and this is basically where the changes are too, where these like highlights are. You can see it on the map here. They're gonna look back for. I'll full screen so we see a little more. So these back camps are way more open. All of them, all 4, they're just way more open. Um, and the pathing is a little awkward. I'd also encourage you to walk around and get used to it because it definitely feels weird walking to and from blue and like this lane's more open too. It used to be a full like wall here also. I don't think this one was. On solo side it was. Like these were connected. So yeah, I just encourage going through that. But yeah, that leads into the mid camps, which yeah, I mean I can bring this back up, but basically the mid camps, their timer got halved to make junglers have to care more about their jungler more often, go to backs more often. Or not mid camps, sorry, I'm talking about back camps. The back camps timer got halved from 4 to 2 minutes. And the rewards also got halved. So that yeah, it's worth the same, but you'll have to be there twice as often. I think we'll see like a lot of times mids taking mid camps now more often than before and things like that. But yeah. Fire got some changes. I don't want to go over too much, but I think the big thing for Fire, uh, it looks like healing went down a bit, but big thing for fire is that it changed from now when you get Fire Giant, you have it for 3 minutes rather than 4 minutes. So you have it a lot less time. A lot less time to do things, and there's a minute in window in between when you have fires off you and when fire spawns. There's some random stuff like Bastion's got increased health and like towers do more damage. But yeah, I don't think it's too big. Oh, there's a new mechanic. I don't know if I missed it or what, but it's back camps for the duo side. There's like called like thieves chefs. Um, I could probably just find it here somewhere. But basically, whoops, I thought I had it open to it. Either way, it's not a huge deal. It's right here. But it's the same as they're just back camps, but also whenever you're 1,000 gold behind, they're gonna spawn chests that help go to team gold when you clear them. 40% goes to the team with the least, 30% to the second least, and then 30% split among the other three. So 10% for each of them. But yeah, it's just another catch-up mechanic essentially. This doesn't have roamers; it has these instead, the chests. And if nobody has a lead up to 1,000 gold, then there won't be any chests. But yeah, it just mid camps or back camps again. And then I guess the other thing that was changed is mid camps have roamers also. I think it's halfway through the spawn of mid camps. Two roamers spawn. One goes towards the chaos side, one towards the outer side. And they roam around like here, and I think these roam around the same. They roam by the around the like objective wall, kind of like in a circle like that, and they go opposite each other. Yeah, so I think that's it for the map changes. I think the only other thing I want to mention is that there's like, I think like blue buff's worth more farm, XP and gold, and the cooldown camp's worth more. Oh yeah, yeah. The other big thing is for starts, it's changed a little bit because back camps are worth less. It means nobody's gonna hit 2 if everybody full splits all of the camps of blue, speed, red, and backs. Yeah, if everybody's splitting all those camps, nobody's gonna hit 2 because the back camps were reduced by half what they're worth. Even with the blue buffs, it didn't change it, or it doesn't make it you hit 2. So I heard like if everybody solos their smalls and then you all split, you hit 2, which could be an interesting idea. But I don't think the start's gonna be, unless you do that, I don't think the start's gonna be everybody splits all the camps fully. So there's gonna be some messing around, to see what people prefer to do. That's a little bit to be determined, but yes, starts I think will be changed a little bit on solo side. Okay, so next thing I'm gonna talk about is new healing items. This is all, the patch is mainly about healing, and because of that, we've introduced some new healing items. There's technically some new items for shielding also. Healing and shielding kind of go together, but yeah. Yeah, so this is the tree for Rod of Asclepius. I just kind of got mana with it too. Mana and power is the main consistency in this tree and health. Asclepius now, it still has this passive, increased healing, but there's an aura of cooldown, 10% cooldown on the aura. This Asclepius passive is basically mirrored for physical by this CAD Club passive, which has the same thing, but their aura is CCR and movement speed. So I think these are the two best healing items, but I could be mistaken. I'll go over the other ones too. The base stats they're all like pretty decent, I think. But the passives are what like makes the items. This one, successfully hitting enemy gods with basic attacks and abilities, provides a stack of 6% healing dealt that is consumed by the next ability heal used. Max 8 stacks. Yeah. So like this is okay, well I'm lost for a second. That is consumed by the next ability and heal used. Yes, it basically buffs your heal. Your ability heal. So this is all these items are consistent with buffing healing in a separate way other than power, because basically all the healing was taken. There's no scaling on healing outside of a couple gods have like scaling with levels, but there's no power scaling on healing, so they've changed it to have these items to buff healing instead. Sorry for getting lost there for a second, but yeah. All right, this one So after healing an enemy god, you gain 10% power and 10% missing health. It's called Last Gasp also, so you know, little attempt at healing at the last second, you know. Okay, not always, but based on the name, you know. All right. Vital Amplifier. After healing yourself an ally god with an ability, you gain a 10% attack speed and 5% basic attack damage for 6 seconds. And it stacks up to 3 times. So maybe like an ADC could go this. It has attack speed. I don't know who would want it. Like maybe an Oleron or a Cupid or something, but I'm not too sure who's gonna end up wanting this item. Maybe it's decent on some warriors, but I'm not really sure. Oh, maybe this is an Erling item actually. Erling has healing in his kit, but yeah, I guess a self-healing god might be best with it. After healing yourself, this is Sekhmet's Scepter. Jeez. After healing yourself or ally god with an ability for the next 6 seconds each time you damage an enemy god, your non-ultimate abilities cooldowns are reduced by 0.5 seconds. Destruction can only occur once per second, and the effect may only occur once every 12 seconds. So yeah, you have to be hitting enemy gods for this, and it reduces your cooldowns. Maybe a good like wand item if you're taking your 3 on them a bunch after you heal, but yeah. It gives cooldown also in mana, MP5. Alright, so this is the main anti-shielding item. It's called Erosion. Uh, Basically, it's a passive that if you're within 30 inches and an enemy gains a shield, you gain 15% movement speed for 4 seconds, and any shields on enemy gods with 30 units are also reduced by 30%. So 30% reduction to all shields. Pretty good nerfs to like Shell, like Odin, Nike, obviously all the shielding gods, you know, Yemoja, etc. They've made anti-shielding on Gem of Iso and Envenom Deathbringer. So yeah, it's not just on Erosion. They've added to these 2 items. Maybe we'll see some Gem of Iso play with it. Maybe even support play buying it, or like going back to like POS getting Gem of Iso, and this will probably still be the glyph to go for crit hunters. Pretty nice actually against like frontliners with shielding like Odin and like Nike, like I said before. So yeah, it also has anti-healing again, by the way, but it doesn't reduce their damage. Okay, so that's the healing new like healing items basically, and since we did the healing items, we're gonna go into the healing gods. Like I said before, basically the gods were no scaling on healing anymore. That's like the big thing for this patch. They're just reducing healing as a whole. And while we're talking about healing, I probably should have mentioned also that they took away the brawling thing. So basically all healing is the same whether you're in or out of combat. There's no reduction for being out of combat healing. So we might see a big increase of like out of combat healing like effect, you know. Obviously because there's no longer reduction, even though there's the healing's being down as a whole. But yeah, it makes me think of like like Thanatos. With Thanatos, you just full heal off backs and you'll heal more. Obviously because of no reduction for out of combat healing. All right, so Afro is the first one. Like I said, there's no actual scaling. But Afro is one of the 2 gods that gets scaling with levels for the heal. So let's go over Afro. One of the main things is her Kiss got kind of mega buffed. First, it deals damage to gods, which is just nice. And then second is that your linked target, now you share 50% of your MP5, and you share 20% of your physical magical prots with your soulmate. So this like prot sharing is the really OP part. We'll see. It'll probably get nerfs at least. But yeah, sharing 20% of your prots, that combined with like we've seen Protector with it, it's like a really OP combo in the jungle. You're just like you should have so many. You can get like near max procs without much defense, just having Protector. And then yeah, healing. It's straight up nerfed across the board. No more power scaling. It scales per level, 2 per level. But your heal now with your linked target, it reduces you and your linked targets also for yourself. It reduces your cooldown by 2.25 seconds per tick of your 3. So yeah, you're gonna reduce your allies' cooldowns and yourself. You're giving them prots and mana, and you have jealousy when you kiss them. But jealousy is also added to your ult. And yeah, that increases your damage. Done. So yeah, a bunch of Afro buffs. I think it's mainly Afro support. Maybe we'll see our mid. I'm not too sure. But yeah, Afro's thinks are really strong right now. Um, so now we have Hell. Hell has a new Light Stance passive where uh, she just applies 8% power reduction to enemies in her range, in her aura radius. Uh, so yeah, this is decent. They made her 1 in damage stance go through walls now. Her 1 in decay goes through walls. Her restoration, which is her 1 in light stance, that now hits creeps. So you can use both your ones to actually hit minions uh, and clear wave. So your wave push is a little bit better early, and it's just kind of nice overall playing with it. And you also get mana to you and your ally whenever you hit them. A little mana restoration, which is pretty nice too. Obviously healing's down. It scales with levels. Like I was saying before, Hell and Afro are the only ones that scale with levels. There's literally no scaling outside of just putting points in it for healing outside of these two characters. But for compensation, also she gets attack speed when she heals. 20% attack speed to everybody that is healed by her 3 is pretty nice for objectives, and you can swap stances a second earlier now. It's down to 1 second, which is really nice. It just feels good being able to swap more often. So yeah, I think Hell is going to be. I think she's kind of buff for mid. I could be wrong, but this makes me think she's buff for mid. Actually, both these two. The other stuff is just nice. So yeah, we'll see. I think there's some nice stuff for health support too, so we'll see if she gets played there. But she's no CC, and I don't think she'll be the best support. Maybe a solo laner potentially, but I think she got buffs for uh, mid personally. But yeah, only time will tell with that. Yemoja mostly net like even, I think. With the like added erosion, like anti-shielding items, she basically got healing for shielding. So I think she's basically net even. Sylvanas can like heal creeps now and do damage to them with his 2. But I also like with his reduced healing, I also think it's pretty net even, and it doesn't seem. I mean, I haven't played him yet, but I think from what I've heard, it hasn't been that impactful. But Silva was in a pretty decent spot anyways. So like, yeah, net even I think. Chang'e basically reduced healing for this, which she does 5% increased damage to enemies each time she hits them. Which stacks from abilities. So you only have like 3 damaging abilities, but the cooldowns are pretty low. So if you like combo them, maybe you can get your 1-up and do it again. But yeah, so each button you press will end up doing more like increased damage. So this is probably net about even. Maybe she's slightly better, but I'm not too sure. Ra basically lost healing, like everybody else. He gained like increased prots, increased power buff, reduced cooldown on his heal, reduced mana too. And then they also changed his ult so it has like 5% of target's max HP on his ult. I don't know if it's a big deal, but it's basically the goal is to make him do more to tanks. But yeah, I think Ra's about net neutral. Guan's changes are pretty interesting. Obviously reduce healing, and then his 1, it reduces the cooldown of everybody that you heal by 1 second. Which sounds a lot more than it does in actuality, I think, but it's still nice. Because Guan, you want to stay with your team in general, and you can just get their cooldowns up faster, obviously just good. And then his household does an extra tick, which is also really nice. So Guan, I think straight buff. Terra, she lost healing for prots in her 3, which I think is really good. I think this is just straight buff, kind of in combat buff, out of combat nerf. And then her ult also lost healing, doesn't heal over time anymore, which kind of is a buff to counterplay with Ankh. And she gains 5% extra damage mitigation on her ult. So I think Terra's just better. Okay, I didn't have any sound playing, my mic turned off. But I think Terra's just better. We'll see for sure. But yeah, I think she's, if not better, she's just neutral. And she was already really good. Horus got a chunk of cooldown off his 3. It's down by 6 seconds, which is a lot. And his heal's obviously down. His passive went up for prots and lost healing on it, but yeah, I think Horus will see a lot of play. I don't know if he's actually how good he is necessarily, but he's a lot safer with 6 seconds off of his cooldown. So yeah, all around straight nerf to his heal, Cupid, kind of even. Reduced cooldown on his too, but like nerfed his heal also. But he gets passive from people picking up his hearts. I don't know. He's probably pretty. Like he's not in the best spot. He's just fine, I'm sure. They reduced the healing on Baron too, but they made it so slow immunity is for the entire buff duration instead of just a cleanse. So that's probably about net even. They reduced the healing in Iset ult, but I think it's still pretty decent anyway, like if you didn't have anti-healing. But they buffed mitigation on it, 5% mitigation's nice, and cooldown on the 3, so just I think kind of Iset buffs, especially for support Iset, but I think they're net buffs. Already got more utility changes, like her 2 basically got buffs, has more prots from using it. This has more, wait, sorry. This reduces more power from them. So this is her 2. She reduced healing on her 3 and her 1. And then she has a bigger slow on her 3 from base, so then more move speed on her passive, or ults, I meant, but yeah. Probably a bit like net even. A lot of these are net even. The goal is to make the character better, but like the healing's just reduced, right? So yeah, that's the healers. I mean Cthulhu got like some damage buffs, less healing on his ult, attack speed reduction, but yeah. So that's the healers that like affect people outside of themselves. Next I'm gonna go into item changes, just real quick. I'm kind of going back and forth, but there's like a million item changes. I'm going over the big ones that I think are big. Uh, Nerf to TP 20 seconds is like nice. Maybe people will stop going TP. We'll see. Uh, I don't want to go over all of these. Trans buff is 100 gold cheaper. I think trans will be bought a good amount. We got some crit buffs. This is one, fail not. Damage output by 10% on the mark. We got buffs to Demon Blade, got buffs to Boomerang. I mean, these are just hunter buffs, buff to Earring. And then we got some mage buffs. This is a nerf to Divine Ruin, but we got a pretty big buff to Rod of Tahuti, which I'm a kind of a Rod believer, especially after these. We got some big buffs to Doom Orb. I also like Doom Orb in the jungle. I think I was going like a build where I was going Doom Orb, Desolation, which just got buffed by 150 gold. These 3 items I think are really good, especially in the jungle. Going Doom Orb, Deso into Rod, I think is a pretty solid build across the board. You got 20% pen, got flat pen, got cooldown. Basically like just a bunch of really good stats. I think that's like a good build on like Hebo, Cab, etc. A lot of magical jungles will probably do well with that build, maybe even like Ao Kuang. So yeah, these are the main items I wanted to go over. There's a bunch of item changes though. I'd encourage people to look at them if they want, but for a majority of the items, the changes were reduced healing, added power. There's like a million items with just that, so yeah. Alright, and now we're going to go into gods. I'm going to go over the main gods, but there's a lot, like I said, that are pretty similar to the items, where it's just reduced, like, healing, added power, added some random effect. Some were just straight nerfs, like this alcohol one, just reduced healing. But yeah, I'm just going to go over the ones that I think are most pressing, plus, like, jungle changes as a whole, because I'm a jungler. So Anubis is the big one. He got reduced healing too, of course, but he made it so, he can move in his 1, Anubis. Anubis can move in his 1, which is really cool. They made the tick more often. I think for same damage, just tick often, or more often. Uh, but yeah, you can move in your 1 half movement speed, and it seems pretty impactful actually. I don't think he's just gonna be like broken or like always played, but a little more viability, and it feels pretty nice to play with. So yeah. After Anubis, I mean, Ao Kuang has these changes. I don't really think Arachne's gonna be good. She got some changes, but she lost her healing. Um, and they made her 3 like uh have an anti cooldown on it when you stun them and reduce the cooldown on it, but I don't think she's gonna be great. Um, okay, so Baka, wait, oh whoops, okay, I'm here then. Basically, Baka one has anti-healing. They kind of added to a bunch of random abilities. But the main thing for Baka is that his 2, obviously less healing, but they reduced the cooldown by like half, essentially. So we'll see if Baka gets any play. I don't know if it just makes him good, but you can go around eating stuff. There's no doubt about that. Bastet, they reduced the healing on her passive, and they buffed the base damage on her 1 by 15. So I don't know if that should make best hit viable, but it's like a nice damage buff. I don't think like the lifesteal, ability lifesteal was that big of a deal on best hit, but yeah. My cat is coming up. So yeah, we got Kama next. I'm gonna go over some of it, but basically like he lost healing in exchange for damage is like the main theme. Like more damage on his one. Increased power buff from getting your thing back. Cooldown's down by 1. Yeah, damage and cooldown for healing is essentially the theme of these changes. 2 provides anti-healing now. But these are just nerfs from the healing, and then your 3 less healing, cooldown is down to 15 at all times. So like having your jump and lower cooldown without putting points in it, which you don't max anyway, is like really nice. But yeah, we'll see how much play Kama gets. His healing is definitely significantly less. Serb I think is a pretty big changed god. Basically, I feel like Serb is just now kind of the king of anti-healing. He heals his healing reduction's up to 40%, and then he steals more of it to from 50 to 80. So that means he's stealing, I think, like okay, I can't do this math, like 30% or something. I don't know. But yeah, he's kind of the king of anti-healing. And he got buffs in his kit also. Obviously healing less on the 3, but the 1 stuns for longer and slower cooldown. I put Danza in here too. But his, like, he just lost some healing on his 2, and it seems like his 3 got buffed pretty significantly. And more damage on his 1. It seems like hunters are pretty strong at the moment anyway. I put Erlang in here. I don't think he's like the best jungler, but he did get changes. More damage reduction on his 1. He lost healing, lifesteal and healing. Healing on his ult, lifesteal on his 1. But his 1 went up to 25% damage mitigation at all ranks. And the taunt duration is up to 1.5. So you won't put literally any points in your 1 or ult. I don't think it'll make sense, but having mitigation for 25% is pretty significant. So yeah, maybe if it's like a bruiser meta for jungle or something, you can make Erling work, or I don't know. But I figured I'd mention the changes on him. Next is Fen. He just got lifesteal nerf, so straight up nerf for Fen. Gilgamesh got some basic attack power, which could be nice because you do auto attack a lot on Gilga, especially if you're bruisery. And then they reduced the cooldown by 10 seconds on his ult. He lost lifesteal in his 3. I don't think it's a huge deal for him. So yeah, maybe we'll see some more Gilga play. Hades nerfs, I guess, are decent. They made it so his ult, you get more cooldown reduction in your ult, but less healing. So yeah, Herc is another big one in my opinion. He lost 2 seconds on both his 1 and his 2 for reduced healing on his 3. But he's still returning 52% of damage. So like if you don't have healing, this guy's gonna heal a bunch anyway. But 2 seconds is a lot on both these buttons. It's essentially 2 seconds because you don't have to, put any points in this. So yeah, I think these are very significant changes for Herc, and he was already in a good spot in my opinion, so he might be broken. We'll see. Kali lost some healing on her jump and on her like getting kills. But she gained some base damage on her jump, which I guess is like nice. She lost lifesteal on her 2. And they made her stun go by 0.2, reduced the cooldown by 3 seconds, which is actually a pretty good amount of time off the 3. And her ult does more damage, which I don't think is very significant because you don't. I guess the base damage is nice. The scaling's 3% scaling, but you don't really build much power on Kali anyway. I don't know if this is just straight net nerfs or not. The healing reduction is pretty impactful probably on her kill, but I think Kali's probably still in a fine spot. If you want to play her, you can make her work, And then that brings me to Neja. Basically reduced the healing on her 2, but they give more attack speed and crit. Jeez, I felt that sneeze coming on for a bit. My bad. So yeah, basically you don't have to put points in your 2. You probably max your 1 and your 3 always, because your heal is less significant too. But having crit and attack speed at the base is like pretty nice. So might be net buffs for Neja actually. That'll go to Nem. Base damage increased by, it's technically 5. It's 5, but it's technically 10 because it gets doubled when you inside of your on the middle of your 2. And they reduce the cooldown to 3, but it heals for 70%, not 100%. So I think these are slight net buffs for them. Nothing crazy, but Yeah. Nike, I put Nike in here because I think she is just better. They buffed the shielding gods because of the anti-shielding items, which makes sense. And Nike might have some play for jungle. But basically, sure, Shred on her 1 went up, cooldown went down on her 2, and for her ult, base damage went up by like 100 at each rank. Actually, 100 scaling to 40. But 100 at rank 1 is actually a lot, so yeah, maybe we'll see some Nike play, I don't know. Cooldown went down on Odin 1, 2, I don't know which one that is. That might be his 1. Pele just lost. She got straight nerfs. On her passive. Actually, her power went up on her passive. Nerfs to the lifesteal. Sheesh. Okay, Rat Acorns got buffed that aren't the like T2 for the crit and the power and the 5 acorn one. The actual crit got one up, but yeah, these acorns all got buffed a bit, but reduced. Well, they got buffed by power, reduced by lifesteal. That's kind of what they were doing. So little compensation for that. But the big rat thing is his 3, in my opinion. They buffed his 3 to make it do more on the front end. So it has more scaling, 60%. Base damage is up by like 20 at each rank, which is actually a lot. 20 scaling to 30. But they reduce the amount of damage that it like each acorn hits because they don't like not each acorn isn't hitting for each of these. You know, it reduces per acorn hit. But I think they also reduced the cooldown on 12 seconds, which is actually pretty big. But I think net, it's just straight damage increase for Rat. So maybe we'll see some more Rat play. Especially the like 5 acorn. But yeah, Robin got some cooldown buffs on his 2 for heal reduce on his 3. Makes sense. And then Set basically lost healing on his ult for movement speed, 5%. And then cooldown went down on his 3 by 1 and got damage reduction up on his 3 by 5%. So I think these are kind of net buffs. You might see less like Set 1v9 moments. Mid game. But I'm not too sure. 3 is kind of the really important button on Set in my opinion, so cooldown on it's big and making it better is also nice. So yeah, we'll see for that. And then I'm gonna go to Thana. And I actually think these are kind of net Thana buffs. Basically, you use less health on your button usage for your ult and abilities in return for like less healing. Which I don't actually think matters that much. I think you're still gonna have the same resets. Maybe there's times where you'd like kill when you wouldn't, but I think that's very unlikely. And he just got buffs on his scythe by 1 second, obviously less healing. Second on his 3, and his ult went up by 1.5 seconds for the stun, as well as base damage increase. So I think it's kind of just net Thana buffs actually. As well as I said at the beginning, like out of combat healing being all even is actually kind of a buff for Thana too, because you just full heal off camps. I guess your healing's gonna be less because of these things, but it'll be about like even, maybe slightly less. I think it'll be probably even maybe more. I don't know exact numbers, you know, but like yeah. I think it is a Thana buff because of the brawling thing, and these are just nice buffs, cooldown buffs, and damage and stun. So it's like Thana buff, which is cool. But yeah, that's it for the patch. Basically, I feel like I went over all the important things. If you want to like see me like, I kind of reacted a bit to stuff, but I basically read through the patch notes at a different time, and I'll put the link in the description here. But yeah, if you want to watch that, you can look through that too. But I'll also put the link to the patch notes if I can. All right, yeah, I'll just do that. If you just want to read through it yourself, I encourage people to do that or like watch the other video if they want. It's good to get like informed, but yeah, hopefully everybody liked the video, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the new patch. It's still in PTS right now, but it comes out on Tuesday. I don't know why I'm saying the actual date. Let me comes out on Tuesday the 28th. So I'm excited for it actually to go live and play ranked with it. But yeah, hope you guys liked the video, and catch you next time.